Shalom. Shalom. Peace and blessings to the Mishpachah, to the family. Brother, I pray that everybody's doing all right. On this midweek session, I want to come to you and do a brief Bible study, a little encouragement and exhortation to the people of Yah that are being patient in the midst of this revealing, this uncovering, this apocalypto. It's important ever more so that in this last hour that we exhort and encourage one another. Many of you can't get to the saints because you're in remote locations, don't have the transportation, don't have the resources or the funds. So it's a blessing to be able to tune into the airwaves. And we know who wants to be the prince and power of the airwaves, but we know who reigns over all of that and takes complete control when necessary, because he watches over his word to perform it. That is the Most High. So the title of this lesson is Optimistic. I'm going to come out of the Apocrypha today, particularly the book of 2nd Esdras. You may have one of these. If you don't, you need to get your hands on one because it was a part of the original compilation before the Council of Nicaea had another meeting. These Gentiles, these converts, and decided to take these books out and hide them and put them in a book compiled called the Apocrypha, hidden in the revealing. So let's get into the scriptures today. I'm not going to belabor the time. I want to look at chapter 6, a portion of it, and chapter 7. Chapter 7, I want to read where we have the Most High, through his angels and the Ruach, revealing things to Esdras, showing him what would come in this remote generation. The majority of you find out that the majority of the books that have been hidden from you, taken away, that you feel aren't sacred because they're not in the compilation called the Bible, they are prophecies for this particular time period. This generation that would have been able to give you, or are able to give you, an understanding of what's happening. Excuse me for a second. So we start with 2nd Esdras, the 6th chapter, and I want to read the 25th verse. Whosoever remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape this tribulation time, and see my salvation and the end of your world. And the men that are received shall see it, who have not tasted death from their birth. And the heart of the inhabitants shall be changed and turned into another meaning. For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. That's what we're optimistic about. That's what we're looking forward to. Many will pass away during this final tribulation period, but there will be those that make it to the end, and we're praying that we're able to endure until the end. Father also said that if I don't come quickly, no flesh will be saved. I have to shorten the days because there's an all-out assault on the saints and against my people, my chosen ones. So he's shortening the days. This is why time moves so fast, and we try to accomplish and absorb as much of the day as possible. It's an attack, an assault on your mind. Satan and his fallen ones are trying to take as many as possible with them to the pit. They know their demise. The question is, do you know yours? Every day is a fight, wrestling with your thoughts, your imaginations, your resources, your allegiance to the Most High, your flesh, your body, crucifying the flesh. We're going to get into that in 2nd Esdras. He's going to talk about that, but let me go to 2nd Esdras 6 and 28. In the last days, towards the end, as for faith, after he has eradicated, back down here at 26, the men and women that receive shall see it, who have not tasted death. from their birth, and the heart of the inhabitants shall be changed. Everyone who's left will be changed, and you'll be completely turned into another meaning. Why? Because evil will be gone and deceit shall be quenched. Now, as for faith, it shall flourish in that day when the Messiah comes. Corruption shall be overcome. That won't exist. And the truth, Psalms 119, 142, which hath been so long without fruit, because we have naysayers and scoffers and mockers now, it shall be declared. Hallelujah. I want to skip down to verse 54. And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen. There are a particular people in the land, and I know various nations don't like to hear that there's one chosen nation, but there is. He has a people that he has chosen. And I know you can pretty much look around and see who they are based upon the signs described in Deuteronomy 28, 14 through 64. You can see the signs on these people, this nation of people. 55. All this have I spoken before thee, O Yahuwah, because thou madest the world for our sakes. The one he chose are the ones that he made this world for. 56. As for the other people which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing but like unto spill, and hast likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. And now, O Yah, behold, these heathen which have ever been reputed as nothing have begun to be lords over us and to devour us. It's amazing how futuristic prophecy, and then we look back as to what led to that we just read. Because of the other nations and their anger and their hatred, and they're trying to steal our identity, are lording over the people. I want to put a lot of emphasis on chapter 7. I think we're going to read the entire thing. And when I had made an end of speaking these words, there was sent unto me the angel. This is Esdras, the prophet. You know him as Ezra from the compilation of the books in the Bible. And when I had made an end of speaking these words, there was sent unto me the angel which had been sent unto me the night afore. And he said unto me, Up, Esdras, and hear the words that I am come to tell thee. And I said, Speak on, my Yah. Then said he unto me, The sea is set in a wide place that it might be deep and great. But put the case, the entrance were narrow and like a river. Who then could go into the sea to look upon it and to rule it, if he went not through the narrow? How could he come into the broad? There is also another thing. A city is builded and set upon a broad field and is full of all good things, the anticipation of what is to come. The entrance thereof is narrow and is set in a dangerous place to fall. Before I go on, this description he's given you is that is spoken of. Eyes have not seen, ears have not heard the things he has prepared for us. But in order to get to this wide, beautiful place, the entrance is very narrow. Only a few will make it. Only a few can travel therein. You have to achieve a mindset of saying, it's worth it. I will be persistent. I will be consistent. I will make it through, and nothing else is worth me losing my life for or forfeiting the things to come. You have to pay a price for everything. Let's continue chapter 7, verse 7. Were a fire, this is what the narrow path is like. There's a fire on the right hand, and on the left hand, deep waters. This is what happens when you fail to be consistent and persistent on this narrow path that only a few can travel therein. Falling is like taking one of these sides, deep water, drowning, or burning, falling to the other side. Verse 8, and one only path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could but one man go there at once, one at a time. There's no need for you to worry about being alone or lonely. You will travel that narrow course by yourself, one in front, one behind. Verse 9, if this city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance? Letting you know this is a dangerous world. You think you're in heaven now, like Bob Marley said, but you're living in hell. And you've got to make it through this. Verse 10, and I said, it is so, Yah. Then said he unto me, even so also is whose portion? Not the whole world, but Yasharal's portion. Because for their sakes, I want you to take pride in this. For their sakes, I made the world. For one people. But when Adam transgressed my statutes, then was decreed that now is done because of what happened with Adam. In comes all your various religions and everyone incorporating themselves as being the people. Then were the entrances of this world made narrow. Didn't intend for everyone to have to go through a dangerous, narrow path. But because of the fall, then were the entrances of this world made narrow, full of sorrow, the pain of life, travail. They are but few and evil, full of perils and very painful. You can probably attest to the fact that that's what this life is like. You have to find your own joy and peace. Verse 13. For the entrances of the elder were wide and sure and brought immortal fruit. If then they that live labor not to enter these straight and vain things, they can never receive those that are laid up for them. Now therefore, why disquietest thou thyself, saying, thou art but a corruptible man? And why art thou moved, whereas thou art but mortal? Why hast thou not considered in thy mind this thing that is to come, rather than that which is present? Selah moment. Why do we languish and focus on the present tense pain, politics, wars, than that which is to come through optimism and hope and faith? He's telling Esdras, you need to be understanding of the fact that you're only mortal trying to achieve immortality, and you should be more focused on that is to come. And my words, it's either you believe this word or you don't. 16 again, why hast thou not considered in thy mind the things that are to come, rather than that which is present? Then answered I and said, O Yahuwah that bearest rule, that has ordained in thy law that the righteous should inherit these things, but that the ungodly shall perish. Are you living godly today? Are you keeping the statutes, laws, and commandments with joy and pleasure? Verse 18, nevertheless, the righteous shall suffer straight things and hope for wide. For they that have done wickedly have suffered the straight things, and yet shall not see the wide, the blessed hope, the joy, because they lived wickedly. And he said unto me, there is no judge above Yahuwah, and none that hath understanding above the highest. For there'll be many that perish in this life. I just lost a little cousin. Because they despise the law of Yah that is set before them. There it is there. Despising of the law. It said in Proverbs, I believe it's in the 28th chapter, that he that turneth his ear away from hearing the law, even his prayer is an abomination. Let's continue. Verse 21, for Yahuwah hath given straight commandments to such as came, what they should do to live. The book of Baruch 4:1 says, he that keepeth his commandments, that's life. But he that turneth away moves directly into death. Even as they came, and what they should observe to avoid punishment. It is said, and it's in another hidden book. I can't call the name of the book right now, but it talks about the fact of how the first day of creation is when souls were created and the angels were created. It also goes on to talk about the fact that, it may have been the book of Adam and Eve, but it goes on to talk about the fact that when your spirit, your soul is chosen to inhabit the body that is made by your parents, that you are shown while you're in the womb the days of your life, the day of your death, and when you'll be coming back. It's also said that we drink from a cup of forgetfulness and remembrance. We kick and scream coming here. We don't want to come to this world when we leave that eternal existence and that place where the Most High dwells. And that's why that baby comes out screaming, kicking, and crying. But then once we get here, we don't even want to leave this life. And once a person leaves this life, know that they are back into, well, depending upon how they lived, peacefulness and eternity. They escape the bondages of mortality. He said, in verse 21, he has given commandments. It was during that time that we're told, we know within our spirits what is right, and we rebel against that, just like a third of the angels that fell with Satan. He must have had some type of game. There's a rebellious nature that dwells inside of us. We have the ability to choose the direction that we will go. Verse 22 says, nevertheless, they were not obedient unto him, but spake against him and imagined vain things. You must capture your imaginations and watch what you say, because vanity is strong to cause people to think that they can be greater. Satan wanted to be just like Yah, Isaiah 14, his 5-point plan. It was his arrogance and vanity of him saying, I will do this, I'm going to do that, I shall be just like him. Because he looked at him with envy, jealousy, and pride. Verse 23, and deceived themselves by their wicked deeds, and said of the Most High that he is not, and knew not his ways. But his law have they despised, key right there, and denied his covenants. In his statutes have they not been faithful and have not performed his works. So you still want to eat your fish, catfish, shrimp, lobster, and crab. You still want to be comforted by the pastor that tells you that the law is done away with. You don't have to do that. You can follow the tenets of the satanic church, do what thou wilt. And you just want to be lawless. You have to become Kodesh, set apart, come out of this world, separate, be ye holy. Only way to be holy and Kodesh is to obey the commandments, statutes, and laws. Excuse me for 1 second while I sip this tea. So it says in verse 24, the laws were despised, the covenants that he made with Israel despised, his statutes, and just totally unfaithful. Verse 25, and therefore, Esdras, for the empty are empty things, and for the full of hope promise. Optimism are the full things. Behold, the time shall come that these tokens which I have told thee shall come to pass, and the bride shall appear, and she coming forth shall be seen that now is withdrawn from the earth. And whosoever is delivered from the foresaid evils shall see my wonders. Are you going to be alive to see the return of Yeshua HaMashiach? Can you withstand the evils, lose your fear, succumbing to health mandates? Let me remind you of something. We're reading the book of Esdras, and you're getting ready to see in the book of Esdras during this time period that he said, whosoever is delivered from foresaid evils shall see my wonders. And look what Esdras says. He's told, prophesy. This would be considered what you call the Old Testament. The Messiah, the Son of Yah, was prophesied. In Esdras, it says, for my son, Yeshua, shall be revealed with those that be with him, the dead in Christ, and his 10,000s of angels, spoken of in Jude. And they that remain shall rejoice within 400 years. Now listen, this prophecy is in segments and pieces. If you listen closely, you'll understand what it's in reference to. Now, this prophecy is in reference to when he came with the disciples and he was revealed. Let me read verse 29. And after these years shall my son, HaMashiach, die. This is in what you call the Gospels. And all men that have life, and the world shall be turned into the old silence for 7 days, like as in the former judgments, so that no man shall remain. And after 7 days, the world that yet awaketh not shall be raised up, and that shall die, that is corrupt. And the earth shall restore those that are asleep in her, and so shall the dust, those that dwell in silence, and the secret places shall deliver those souls that were committed unto them. Let me pause. What you have here is prophecy of this earth, this world, and the coming great judgment through the Son. When he speaks of 7 days, he speaks of 7 days. He's in reference to the 7,000 years. The prophecy is right there in front of your face. And the final judgment. It says in verse 33, and the Most High, excuse me one second. And the Most High shall appear upon the seat of judgment, the great white throne judgment. This is not in reference to going into the 1,000 years of rest. 1,000 years of rest is talked about within the 7 days, like as in the former judgments, so that no man shall remain. And after 7 days, the world that yet awaketh not shall be raised up, and that shall die, that is corrupt. Let's get back down to 33. And the Most High shall appear upon the seat of judgment, the great white throne, and misery shall pass away, and the long suffering shall have an end. But judgment only shall remain. Truth shall stand, and faith shall wax strong. And the work shall follow, and the reward shall be shewed, and the good detail shall be of force, and wicked deeds shall bear no rule. Then said I, Abraham prayed first for the Sodomites, talking about the time of Lot, and Moses for the fathers that sinned in the wilderness, and Yeshua after him for Israel in the time of Achan, and Samuel and David for the destruction, and Solomon for them that should come to the sanctuary, and Elias for those that received rain, and for the dead that he might live, Ezekiel for the people in the time of Sennacherib, and many for many. Even so now, seeing corruption is grown up and wickedness increased, and the righteous have prayed for the ungodly, wherefore shall it not be so now also? That is even in our time. He answered me and said, this present life is not the end, where much glory doth abide. Therefore have they prayed for the weak. But the day of doom shall be the end of this time, and the beginning of the immortality for to come. So the day of doom is to end this world and to end this time, to end Esau's rule and to go into the time of Jacob. There shall be doom. It's coming. Will you survive? Because the doom is the beginning of immortality for to come, wherein corruption is past. There'll be no more corruption. We must go through the fire. Verse 44, intemperance is at an end. Infidelity is cut off, and righteousness is grown, and truth is sprung up. Then shall no man be able to save him that is destroyed, nor to oppress him that hath gotten the victory. You can't change anything then for those that have endured righteously until the end. No one can stop you from going into your blessing. And the unrighteous, you can't change it. They will be destroyed. You're going to have to walk it out for themselves. Listen to what Ezra said. Verse 46, I answered them and said, this is my first and last saying, that it had been better not to have given the earth unto Adam, or else when it was given him to have restrained him from sinning. For what profit is it for men now in this present time to live in heaviness, and after death to look for punishment? So, O thou Adam, what hast thou done? For though it was thou that sinned, thou art not fallen alone. We've all felt that way. But we all that come of thee, for what profit is unto us, if there be promised us an immortal time, whereas we have done the works that bring death? And that there is promised us an everlasting hope, whereas ourselves being most wicked are made vain. Verse 51. And that there laid up for us dwellings of health and safety, whereas we have lived wickedly, and that the glory of the Most High is kept to defend them which had led a weary life, whereas we have walked in the most wicked ways of all, and that there should be showed a paradise whose fruit endureth forever, wherein is security and medicine, since we shall not enter it. For we have walked in unpleasant places, my, have we not all? And that the faces of them which have used abstinence shall shine above the stars, those that have abstained from sinning in this world. Whereas our faces shall be blacker than darkness, for while we lived and committed iniquity, we considered not that we should begin to suffer for it after death, because that is a fact. Everyone who's living in pleasures of sin now will suffer for it after death. There's nothing you can do. We commend people to try and live righteously and not chase pleasures of sin. Find joy and peace in righteousness. I digress. Verse 57. Then answered he me and said, listen closely. This is the Most High talking to Esdras the prophet. This is the condition of the battle, which man that is born upon the earth shall fight. We are in a warfare. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty. Verse 58, that if he be overcome, he shall suffer as thou hast said. But if he get the victory, he shall receive the thing that I say. You got to win and have the victory. Go day by day. You can't go day by day. Go hour by hour. But maintain righteousness, piety. Live victoriously. Overcome one's flesh. Verse 59. For this is the life whereof Moses spoke unto the people while he lived, saying, choose thee life, that thou mayest live. Verse 60, nevertheless, they believed not him, nor yet the prophets after him, no more me, which have spoken unto them. So let me pause. The people of Yah under Moses preferred an idol, something gold and shiny, and to party and to live a life of adultery and fornication and covetousness over the hope and the promise. I want you to measure your life and see what happens when the pride of this life tries to take control over you and get you to want pleasures more than that's to come. Verse 61, that there should not be such heaviness in their destruction as shall be joy over them that are persuaded to salvation. 62, I answered then and said, I know, Yah, that the Most High is called merciful, in that he hath mercy upon them which are not yet come into the world, and upon these also that turn to his law. Not to church religion, Sunday service, but turn to his laws. You're not a citizen if you're disobeying the laws. 64, and that he is patient, Yah is, and long suffereth those that have sinned. He's been very patient with us as his creatures. 65, and that he is bountiful, for he is ready to give where it needeth. And that he is of great mercy, for he multiplieth more and more mercies to them that are present and that are past, and also to them which are to come, the souls that have not been birthed yet. Verse 67, for if he shall not multiply his mercies, the world would not continue with them that inherit therein. We're living under grace and mercy now, because he should have ended this a long time ago, because some of you are not strong enough to remain out of sin. And then there's way too many who don't want to keep the law. And we've already read what your end is going to be. Trying to save people's lives out here by being a reflection and example of keeping the law. And his laws are not burdensome, keeping them. Verse 68, and he pardoneth, if he did not so of committed iniquities might be eased of them. The 10,000th part of men should not remain living. And being judged, if he should not forgive them that are cured with his word, and put out the multitude of contentions, there should be very few left per adventure in an innumerable multitude. It's only by grace and mercy that there's some here now. And then the angel answered Esdras and said, the Most High hath made this world for many, but the world to come, it's only a few. Only a few. So we must go through everything that's coming. Let's stop complaining about how bad it's getting out of here. It's always darkest before dawn. Will you make it through the fire? Let's close out with 2 Ezra 8:3. There be many created, but few shall be saved. All praises to the Most High.